Hey guys, welcome back to Team Death Slinger. My name is Peter, and today we're looking at another old boss monster. We're looking at Craniamon. Now, if you've been paying attention to these EX7 deck profiles, we really like Shoto because he gives everything else blocker. A Digimon who also really likes when everything has blocker is Craniamon. So, starting with our eggs, ST15 Koromon. When an attack target is switched, this Digimon gains 1k DP until the end of the turn. We like this egg because it's an all turns DP boost. If things are blocking, they should be big. For our rookies, 3 copies of BT6 ToyAgumon. If you have blocker, you get 1k DP on all turns. Good effect. EX7 Gotsumon at 4. This has blocker and it has reboot. We really care about getting reboot and we care about DP bonuses because we want to be able to block whatever the opponent's swinging with. And we're going to have some ways to hit the opponent back. So we want to have enough DP to swing over them and then reboot to be a blocker on the opponent's turn. We're going to use the new promo Gotsumon X. It has blocker. Evo's on Gotsumon for 0. Your turn, this Digimon can't attack without Gotsumon or X-antibody in its Digivolution cards. He's not going to be doing any swings, so that's fine. And opponent's turn once per turn. When an attack target changes, one of your Digimon with blocker may unsuspend. So if you block something, if this guy's on the board, you get to unsuspend it. All turns, this will also give all of your Digimon with blocker a 1k DP boost. So with the Gotsumon package, we can ideally have reboot and 1k just generically. So that is really, really good. We're going to go 2 copies of the BT12 Sephirothmon. You may digivolve onto a Tamer for 3 cost, and then when digivolving until the end of your opponent's turn, one of their Digimon gets started of your main phase, this Digimon attacks. We're going to force the opponent to swing into our big black blockers. For our other level 4s, we have 4 copies of the BT15 Guardromon. This has blocker. On play, when digivolving, you can trash a card with Machine or Cyborg so that one of your Digimon can't be deleted by your opponent's effects until the end of the turn, and then your turn. While your opponent has no Digimon, this can't swing. More importantly, this has reboot. He's just a great body in this deck because he has blocker, so he shouldn't be affected by things anyways with Craniamon on board, and he has reboot, so he's going to enable our stack to swing on our turn and then block on the opponent's turn. Then we're going 4 copies of the EX7 Tortomon. He also has blocker. He also isn't affected by your opponent's effects. Deletion effects specifically, and he also has reboot. So when we don't have Craniamon on board, this and Guardromon are sitting on the board as blockers that are a little bit more difficult to remove. For our level 5s, 3 copies of BT11 Mamemon. On play and when digivolving, you're going to reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. You can play a Tamer card with a play cost 4 or less among them without paying the cost. Place the rest at top or bottom in any order. Gonna play our Shotos for free. Gonna play some of our other Tamers for free. This is just a great way to start netting value when we Evo into it. The Inheritable also says when you play another Digimon by an effect, one of your Digimon gains blocker until the end of your opponent's turn. I don't believe we have any ways to play things by effects, but hey, it's a blocker Inheritable, so that's pretty cool. 4 copies of the new EX7 Gigadramon. We are not running any options to trigger the second half of this card's effect, but when digivolving, we are going to get to reveal the top 4 cards of our deck. We're not going to get to place the option. And then we're going to return the rest top or bottom of the deck. The really cool thing about this is, at worst, we are fixing the top 4 cards of our deck, and then we have a collision inheritable. So collision is kind of fun because we have all these boosts for our blocker stacks, Craniamon, and now we can force our opponent to have to sack bodies when we swing, which is pretty nice. For our level 6s, 2 copies of the BT13 Craniamon. This one has blocker. He says on play and when digivolving until the end of your opponent's turn, this Digimon isn't affected by the effects of your opponent's Digimon. Great effect. At end of your opponent's turn, choose one of your opponent's Digimon. Your opponent attacks with the chosen Digimon. Also really menacing, forcing your opponent to attack. This guy's 13k on his own. We have at least 2 other DP boosts that can go under this, making him a 15k, not counting Tamers like Tai Kamiya that boost him up to 16k. He's a really big wall that's really hard to get rid of. Next, we have 4 copies of the BT3 Craniamon. He has blocker, and he says all turns, your Digimon with blocker can't be deleted by your opponent's effects. So this guy won't be able to be deleted by your opponent's effects. He can still be bounced to hand, bottom deck, or security if you play against Mamemon. But we're going to use Shoto to give our other bodies blocker while this is on the board and make it so the opponent cannot trim down our board without swinging. And the advantage to that is that we can force them to trade bodies with these DP boosts if they want to get past our board. So this is our 4-of, this is our boss in the deck, and this was the inspiration for me wanting to play Craniamon. Some of you guys said that you wanted more old school boss monsters. I've wanted to play with this alt art for forever, and this is the deck he's going in. Next, 1 copy of Vikemon Ace. We do force our opponents to attack, so the Blast Ace is really good. When digivolving, you're going to de-digivolve 2 on one of your opponent's Digimon, then none of them with one or fewer Digivolution cards can suspend until the end of their turn, and when attacking you can delete something with one or fewer Digivolution cards. You can also use the Mega Gargomon here. I think D-Digivolve is just a little bit more useful. Mega Gargomon has the trade-off of if you force your opponent to attack, you ace into the Mega Gargo, you stop them from being able to evolve on, I believe, 2 of their Digimon till the end of their turn. Vikemon's just going to make their thing small, and then he's going to block it, and it's going to die. So up to you what you want to slot here. Then Jesmon GX. This is a really cool card in Craniamon. When Digivolving, you place 1 card with Royal Knight in its traits and a play cost of 13 or less from your hand or trash under this Digimon as its bottom Digivolution card. Activate one of that card's when Digivolving effects as an effect of this Digimon, then Blitz. So you're going to Digivolve, and you're going to tuck this Craniamon here, who's when Digivolving is then going to say he's not affected by the effects of your opponent's Digimon. So now your opponent cannot Blast Ace well, they can Blast Ace, it's just not going to do anything to this Jesmon GX. And then if he has Royal Knights in his traits, in the Digivolution card, so if you have Craniamon in his sources, he's going to gain Piercing Blocker and gain Security Attack +1. So he's going to come in, he's going to swing 2 checks, with Piercing Blocker. He's not going to be affected by your opponent's effects. And then ideally we should have a Reboot inheritable underneath him, so he will reboot on the opponent's turn and be a blocker. And then if we have Collision, it actually forces your opponent to block with something and then lose a body. You get the 2 piercing checks, you're rebooting. It's just a problem. This man is a problem with Craniamon. 2 copies of Laplace's Demon. Until the end of your opponent's turn, one of your opponent's Digimon gains start of your main phase. This Digimon attacks. It's just another way to force your opponent to swing into your big black bodies. 4 copies of Defense Training for the Search package. And then 1 copy of Judgment of the Blade. Let me explain myself. This was the thought I had eons ago when I said, I want to play Craniamon with this card, because Craniamon can go under Jesmon GX, and say Judgment of the Blade just says one of your Digimon with Huckmon or Royal Knights in its type can attack your opponent's unsuspended Digimon for the turn. I want to let you guys in on something. If you want to be an absolute madman, these black ties, drop one of them, go 2 Judgment of the Blade, and then drop the other 2 ties for like 2 of the Security +1 ties. You'll be able to swing 3 checks with Jesmon GX, and you'll have a red source to just Judgment of the Blade, and then Craniamon can just come in as like a 15k and start bonking the opponent's Digimon on top of the head. I think that's hilarious. That's what I really wanted to do, but it's a little bit more inconsistent than going with this package. So I have it at 1 as like a funny tech card. If your Jesmon GX sticks and they have something on the board and you don't have the Collision inheritable underneath it, you just say, here's Judgment of the Blade, and you swing into your opponent's Digimon and you get, your 2 piercing checks or whatever. If you don't want to run this, obviously there's other cards you can go up in quantity on, like you could go to 4 Shotos is probably a good idea. Go to 3 on the Laplace's Demon, or like, up on ties. You could even go up on Vikemon, something like that. But I put this in here because this was part of the original plan for me. And so it's staying in the deck as a nod to my original funny thought. 1 copy of BT2 Tai Kamiya. It's a memory setter, and it says all of your black Digimon get 1k DP on the opponent's turn. So when they swing into you, you'll be an extra 1k DP boosted. 2 copies of the ST5 Tai Kamiya. Opponent's turn, when you use blocker to suspend one of your Digimon, you may suspend this Tamer to unsuspend one of your Digimon. If you get both of these on board, even without Gotsumon X, your Craniamon is triple blocking, which is disgusting. And then 3 copies of Shoto. He gains your memory, and then he also gives your bodies blocker so that you can make them unaffected by deletion effects with Craniamon. So that is what I have for my EX7 Craniamon deck profile. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What are you doing with Craniamon? I know there's a lot of ways you can play Craniamon, just in general, because he is such a big problem. But I'd love to hear what you guys are doing with it. What do you think about my take on Craniamon? Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Thank you to our YouTube members for supporting this channel. It's people like Langlog that make videos like this possible.